Oompa loompa loompa dee dee. I got a sculpting idea for thee. And hello. Yes, I'm back. I'm a little bit, just a couple minutes early, but yeah. And hello, Longy. What's on the docket tonight? First of all, what we're going to discuss is the possibility of Mini-Vember. And barring that, we're going to be doing a Pokey Gobbo. A Gobbo with the long, pointy pokey. Poke. Anyway, yes. So what I'm going to discuss is I had this idea this morning, and I ended up sharing it on the Facebook group for 3D printing miniatures, effectively. And the idea is Mini-Vember. Every morning in November, somebody, I don't know if it's me or someone who decides to take up on this, there's a website which does random character generation. Let me go ahead and show you this site. And this is what it generates. Like here it said, level 1 Wood Elf Monk. We look under melee weapons, unarmed strike and short sword, armor none. Okay. But we want it to be 1st to 10th level, so we try it again. So that day's creation is a level 3 human warlock with a blade pact, with a fiend patron. And he's got hand axe and studded leather. And he's a con man, according to that right there where it says background. So how many different creations can people sculpt out of something like that? What I create out of that might be something totally different from what you create. But it doesn't matter if I finish or if anyone else finishes. Just sculpt on it, something like that day. Just push polygons around. Just get the sculpting, do something. Even if it's only for 15 minutes every day. You don't have to do the full miniature sculpt every day, because what's going to happen? It's just like what art teachers tell you, draw every day. Well, if you do a little bit of sculpting every day, try out a new technique. Play around with the various different brushes that are in your sculpting program of choice. Do a tutorial and use what you learned in the tutorial on one of these sculpts. So yeah. Well, I fully understand, Kim. Yeah, that's my idea. It doesn't matter if you sculpt that warlock charlatan with the hand axe, packed to the blade. It doesn't matter if you get a vaguely humanoid piece of bubblegum, as long as you're moving polygons around every day for the month of November, or if it's November, whatever month it ends up being. But yeah, have every morning a challenge. And I could probably get a very basic sculpt done every day before doing what I have to do for work. But just something. Everyone's got 15-20 minutes a day they can do something in. And just a little bit of work. I mean, I've shown what happened with me from April until now. And the difference is significant. Well, see, I don't see the appeal of fantasy football, because not a single one of them has fireball or a blaster. Think how much more fun football would be if you had like lightsabers and blasters. Make Blood Bowl look like an amateur sport. Anyway, my plan for today's sculpt is yet another Gobbo, this time one with a pokey thing, a spear. So, if it had fireballs, a lot of people would watch football. Anyway, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and pop on over to this. Daz Studio. Yep. And before I get started, soda. Sitting in the swamp down in Dagobah, where the swamp cherry cola, C-O-L-A cola. Okay, and parameters, and we're gonna start off by turning him into a Gobbo. He's a Gobbo. He's a Gobbo. He's a Gobbo. Yo yo. He's a Gobbo. Giving him props. No, we don't need the attack. We need the regular props. Let's see what we got here. We want some kind of pokey thing. We don't need the war scythe. A trident's kind of aquatic for a goblin. Not a great spear. Or that. Let's look for something a bit weird. Okay, we've got the simple spear. Blue. Quarterstaff. Yeah, we'll put a quarterstaff in his hand just for the sole purpose of making a pointy end on one end. Beep. Let's put it in the other hand because we want it to go the other direction. So, beep. Now, you'll notice that we have to move it slightly, so we go to back view, and we select that quarterstaff. And we're going to move it to here. Okay, and perspective view once again. Yeah. We're just going to kind of drag out a long, sharp, pointy thing that's going to be all jagged and stuff. Possibly even make it look almost like it's a big thing of crystal jabbed onto the end of a stick. So now we have a goofy pose to come up with. My day job? Well, you don't want to know. Let's just say that for a long time, I could just, you know, buy a transformer and write it off on my taxes. Oh, the goblins. See, the problem with goblins is their day job is sticking pokey things into soft things that scream and bleed. That is the job description of the typical goblin. You know? Sticking sharp things into soft things that scream and bleed. And can anyone, I know there's not a lot of people in my audience, but can anyone guess where that quote came from? I'll give you a hint. It was the name of a skill in a tabletop role-playing game. Yeah, I didn't think you could. So anyway, pose, articulation. We're going to go ahead. First thing we're going to do is we're going to alter them hips. We're going to idea. Yeah, that's it. Alright, so what we need to do is we need to get both arms like this. So, what's going to happen is we're going to start off, we're going to twist. Let's do it this way, the old-fashioned way. Yeah. We're going to twist it forward and up. Then we're going to bend this forward, and which way? Yeah, it's the green is the proper bending for this. Okay. And then we're going to bend the neck forward. Now this arm is going to go a lot further back. Actually, let's start off, let's do it the easy way. Let's go ahead and select the right collar, shoulder, and forearm. And symmetry, right to left. Accept. Now we're going to go up top view. And we're going to grab it through this. All right, that's just to get it in vague position. Now we're going to twist this hand, this forearm. Unbend it slightly. Pull it. Oh! Whoa! Well. There we go. And then we're going to move it into position like, whoop, too much. Bing. All right. We're going to unbend it a little bit here. And bend it a little bit more here. There. Now we're going to bend the chest and abdomen back a lot. And twist them a little. Then this leg is coming way forward and over to one side. And bending it here. Oh, no, no, no. Bending that there. Now, why, you might ask, am I posing him as all crazy, all get out like this? Let's kind of twist his head. Oh, no. I want to twist his head slightly. Well, let's go ahead. Let's grab the whole entire body, and you're about to find out. Oh, not quite. But you see what I'm doing here. And then we're going to just open the mouth as wide as possible. Make him this complete and utter berserker Gobbo. Because that staff is going to be all into that ground. Symmetry. Right to left, accept. There we go. Ah, stabby! Actually, we need to make this a bit more upright. Stab. And hello, Todd. Welcome. As for the quote, the game was called Whole. H-O with the umlaut, L, capital L. Standard for Human Occupied Landfill. It was entirely written by hand. It was not typed out or anything. And a lot of bits that were literally scratched out and crammed into the space. It looked like it was literally handwritten right then and there. And it was one of the funniest things you'd ever read. And it was obscene as all get out about, biological processes and destruction, death, maiming, making fun of everything from Elvis Presley to Mickey Mouse to churches combined with fast food places called Church and Munch. Yeah, it was weird. I'm going to see what I can do to try and make this a little bit easier to print. But one thing I am going to do is I'm going to go ahead and import a base. Base is rocky because, yeah. Top view. And we're going to kind of be about here. Left view. And there. What I'm probably going to do is I'm probably going to go ahead and I'm going to make this a little bit... First things first, I go to the joint and I drag. Let's move that out of the way. And then we're going to X scale. Oh no, we're not going to X scale. We're going to full scale and then Z scale. It's a little bit thicker. And then we're going to go in and we're going to tweak the hands a bit to make them not quite as fading into the body of the staff. So we're going to unbend it just a little, and then we're going to grab the fingers here and we're going to unbend them. And do this until, okay. There we go. Then we'll go a little bit more. There. Okay, so now we have a little bit thicker spear. he's dropping down with his spear, stabbing into something. I'm probably going to have like a little... you could have like a little mouse darting away from where the spear's hitting. But yeah, it's a crazy spear, pole vaulty, Gobbo guy. So let's see what happens if we go ahead into our content library and clothing and give him tunic skirt. Nope, tunic skirt does not work. We're not going to worry about it. So we're going to delete the tunic skirt. And we are going to, under mesh smoothing, on. Durations 1. That's just to get that crotch area. That's definitely going to have to be hit with the smoothing brush. Okay, so we're going to take this, we're going to export it out to ZBrush, file, export, and we go to broadcast miniatures, new, and we're going to call this Pokey, Gobbo, Bado, accept. And then file, export, Pokey, Gobbo, spear, accept, and then file, export, Pokey, Gobbo, base, export, yay! Ooh! No, Fuzzbutt. What you doing? You gotta go down. No, let go of the shirt. Get on down. Good boy. So yeah, that was that was the cat. Gonna import from broadcast miniatures to new to Pokey, Gobbo, Bado. And draw them into position. Hit edit, and we have our Gobbo. Before I do anything else, I am fixing that daggum leg. There's a long story as to why it's doing that. It really only does it on the Gobbo as badly as you're seeing here. So I'm going to go ahead and shrink the mouse. And with full forced smoothing, there we go. It's not a perfect fix of that, but it got rid of that dargum edge. Form it. Now, we go back up to Subtool, Append, and load in what will be the spear. Then append that and what will be... Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to work on the spear before anything else. And the way we do that, let's go ahead, geometry, dynamesh it a couple times. Not dynamesh, but yeah, we do need to dynamesh it, but after we subdivide it a couple times. And that's 512. Dynamesh. Ding. Okay, that gives us 131,000. No, that's 527,000. And what we're going to do, it's time to break out the Wake-'em. Wake-'em and bake-'em. No, what we're going to do is I'm actually going to start off with the clay build-up brush. And I'm going to use it to kind of partly blend in. Whoa, that's way too strong. Let's decrease that intensity. And let's come over here to stroke and make sure that this is ready, and we can turn off any lazy mouses. And use the brush to kind of build up a little mass on this side. And just a little bit of the idea behind the clay brushes is that they look like that you're modeling with clay. And there's a few situations where we want that look, namely anything that we want to look all crude and occasionally slimy. Like we're going to end up making this look like it's got a whole bunch of roots and stuff strapped onto the outside, and then those roots are all like sharpened and stuff into the spear. Okay, so now we're going to smooth it all out by making it really big. I'm gonna smooth it all out on the base. Okay, then we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna grab polish. That's under P for polish. Polish, there we go. Shrink this back down. And we're gonna kind of sharpen in. This is going to make it look a bit more like it's carved and less like it's, you know, clay. We need to have it on sub. That's what's going on here. Intensity up. Because what we're doing is we're creating sharp, flat, planar sides, as you can see here. And by hitting polish, it actually behaves like we're holding the thing to a belt sander almost. Although there comes a point where it stops cutting and just stays flat. And when it hits that point, we're going to start using slash to continue the shape that we're trying to get here. But the end result is it'll look like it's carved or whittled into shape instead of being, you know, multiple pieces glued together. And then, for example, I'm going to use a little bit of inflate on this side to bring it out a bit so that it's not as chopped up. And the end result is we get our nice, nifty, nasty little chopped up, carved up look without really messing with anything. And then once we get this basic look down, frame out, we're going to hide the body and the thing. Now we're going to go ahead and grab slash. Going to make it really big. I'm going to turn off lazy mouse and make it really weak. About 4. And I'm going to draw here. and then 1, 1, 1. Whoops. Oh. Oh, I see why I accidentally had it on sub. Add. And come around this way. Now, coming over here, we're going to grab with the move tool. Shrink this mouse a bit. I'm going to kind of pull it back. Then we're going to use the slash tool again. I'm going to come down this way. And come down here. And then just to make sure it's going into the base. There we go. And that is our spear and base. Now, the next thing we have to do is hide these. Quick, hide them, they're coming! And we go into geometry, we're going to make it really high res. And we're going to Dynamesh at 768. 0. Dynamesh. And now we're going to zoom in. We're going to clear out the mouth because we kind of forgot that. Oh, beer. Now let's zoom out. You can already see there's a couple anatomical issues we gotta fix, but you know, that's how things work. We're going to subtract in here, and that doesn't work that way. We're gonna make the mouse bigger. Okay, here we go. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and, using the standard brush this time, and turn off lazy mouse, bringing this down to about 5, yeah. We're going to follow underneath down here, just to kind of smooth this out a little, because the muscles would contract more than they would bend. And the same thing down here, we're going to pull it out. Then I'm going to go over the whole thing with a smooth brush and hit 1 a couple times until it's nice and smooth. And also the same thing goes here. You know, run across it with the brush and then hit 1 a couple times until it's smooth. That includes right here. There. And here. Okay, so what we're going to do next, well, we're going to go ahead and smooth off the chest part because we're going to give him a bit of a tunic. And for that he needs to have a little bit of a baggy, smoothie chest. Okay. Next we're going to use inflate. We're going to, whoop, I forgot to make it back to add, and we're going to inflate the butt together and smooth out the top of the butt here. Here's the butt. He's got the butt. And here on through. Now we frame out and brief pause while I get soda. And we're looking at a flying Gobbo. This is one of those figures I would actually recommend printing on his back or something like that. And then once he's solidified and cured and all that other stuff, then poking him into the base. In fact, we might do that with the base, is actually have them be separate, this print. Yeah. He's your private goblin. Goblin for money. He's not a dancer, he's a goblin. Now, and come down over here. The same thing over here. And what we get, we need to come up on top here. There we go. Now what we're going to do is we're going to hide the leg here just for the sake of being able to get in to where his belt or the top of his pants will be. Belt first, then top of his pants. So, I'm going to shrink the mouse a little bit, and we're going to draw on where his belt will be. Well, let's make it a little bit, yeah, there we go. Okay. Now we're going to extract that into our belt. No, not subtool. There we go. Subtool. Extracted at 0.03. No. 0.02. Accept. Draw. Select him and draw to get rid of the thing. And now we go to geometry and we're going to dynamesh it 256. Dynamesh. Accept. Now we're looking and that's actually pretty good for now. We're going to go ahead and subdivide it a couple times. A couple can mean 2 or 3. Hide the boss baby. And we're going to give him a belt buckle. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to hit Control and turn off backface masking for our masking. Or turn on backface masking. And then with it tilted slightly, we're going to draw on where our belt will be and go up a bit. Oh. We're going to stop right there and turn up. And then we're going to kind of clean off that and clean a little bit off of this. Just enough. And now we're going to extract that at 0.02. But what we're going to do next after this, we're going to take this sucker, go into geometry, dynamesh it at 128. We're going to subdivide it. We are then going to go down to deformation. First, we're going to polish it 100%. And we're going to relax it 100%. We're going to deflate it. We are then going to once again relax it 100%. And then we're going to polish the 100%. Then we're going to inflate it a bit. We're basically just playing around until we get something that looks halfway decent. Okay, and then geometry, we're going to subdivide it once more. Or not. Yeah, we are. And actually, let's go ahead and let's deal with some anatomy over here on this underarm here, because that's something that we haven't done in a while. And one thing we have to make sure that we do is we got to kind of dig in underneath the under here. And what we're going to do with this is we're then going to come in and smooth it and hit one a couple times. And bring this over, do it a couple times, and hit one a couple times. Then we're going to go ahead and go for our slash tool again. And what we're going to do with the slash is we're going to draw in under our muscles. Then we're going to hit it very briefly with one level of the smoothing. And over here. Because that's just enough to give us a form and a shape. Then we're going to go another. Actually, we're going to make it a bit bigger. Go under the pectoral down here. And under the pectoral down here. We're then going to make sure we draw in our other muscles. So we're going to come in down here. Just a little bit. Right there. Frame out. And we got our goblin upper torso. We just need to kind of do things like use the move tool to straighten out that arm, because that arm's not looking good right over here. So thank you. And then we're gonna load in his and we're going to kind of add in a little bit of musculature. Not a lot, because he's not going to be as buff as the previous goblin. This guy's relying more on insanity than on sheer physical power. Although right here we do kind of need to inflate where the yeah, there we go. It's just enough to show what we need. A little bit of a little bit of swelling down here. And a little bit on the elbows to make them a little bit pointier. And then I'm going to grab the move tool, because that's what I'm going to use. I'm going to use move, make it bigger, and I'm going to drag this. Whoa, no. No. I'm going to grab here and drag it up a bit. Oh, that's why it was an inflate instead of move. Yeah. Oh, it would help if I turned the focal shift back to 0. Grab, move up just enough, and then we're going to smooth out that whole thing. And once more hit 1. Frame out. Now he's got pants, but he needs belt. Before we do this, he needs to have his butt fixed. Yes, I said he needed his butt fixed. So now we zoom in, and oh look there, he needs his butt fixed. So we smooth it out, and it fixes his butt. There. Now he looks less like Baryshnikov and more like some poor schmuck who's like falling and stuff. Okay, and then we're gonna come up. We're going to double check that we got everything going. We're going the distance. We're going for speed. Yes. Frame out. And well, his butt isn't broken no more. It ain't got no crack. So has anyone ever realized that if their butt crack went this way instead of this way, then every time you stood up and sat down, yeah, had to say it. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to give him low boots. No, I know how we're going to handle this leg. This leg's kind of messed up because of how it's off to one side. There we go. Alright, zoom in, move, and we're going to take it up to there. No, we're not, because the first thing we need to do, we need to subdivide it. Then delete lower, then we'll take it up to there. And then just a little bit more. There. Frame out. And then we're going to do something similar over here. It's going just below mid calf. Okay, now let's frame out. Not frame out, let's frame. And go to extract. Accept. Draw. Draw. Frame in on these guys. Geometry 256 Dynamesh. And then we're not going to subdivide yet. Instead, we're going to make the mouse a little big and smooth out where it meets the foot and the heel. Just like that. Only that bottom edge. We don't want to get up to the top edge because that we'll lose our sharp delineation of layers there. Most of the layers on outfits that we make are illusion. The reason being is in scale, this fabric would be like almost an inch thick. But any thinner, and we won't really be able to see it. Alright. Now, we're going to go ahead. We're going to divide this a little bit. Delete it. And we're going to merge down into those. Then we're going to Dynamesh it again. And we're now going to use a smaller brush, just a little bit, and smooth out where the ankle meets the new boot. And maybe smooth out a little bit under here. And we're just, you know, turning them into low boots. See, that's something that D&D in first edition did weirdly. You bought your outfit by the clothing item, and it assumed that you know what they meant by that. For example, you know, it's pretty obvious that low, soft boots, or rather, high, soft boots are moccasins. But what are low, soft boots? And what's the difference between low, hard boots and a shoe? You know, can any of y'all tell me that one? Because that always threw me when I was a kid getting ready to play D&D back then. Back in the day of low, hard boots. Yeah, it's like that. They're not flash dance leggings, they're just low boots. And since they're low boots, it is now time for me to start working on the wrinkles around the ankles and the knee bones and the stuff like that. So I switch back to standard. Yeah, that should be good. And then we're gonna just kind of, oh, it helps if it's add, not in. I'm just kind of go around and just kind of bulge out where the pants meet the legs. Because they get baggy there. And here as well. A little bit baggier, and then gaboof. Yes, me playing with Gobbos is just a way to experiment with weird poses and weird ways to orient things when printing. I freely admit it. Goblins are just experiments. And then just a little bit of okay, so now we're going to switch to slash. Don't do this to me, stupid computer. Going to add 9, and we're going to just like draw across here, and then here, and then here, and then kind of come up this way and down. Just kind of zoop, whoop, whoop. We're just kind of drawing in the vague areas where we're going to have slashy, wrinkly bits like this. And we're going to try and smooth out at the ends of wrinkles usually. We're also going to try to make sure we have our mouse kind of near the center. Okay, so this will be coming this way and then back down and around where it's going to meet up here. We're going to smooth that out, and I'm going to change this. Okay. Now we're going to switch to subtract. And we're going to kind of try to draw under where this is. Kind of within range, but not quite, of the wrinkles we've already done. Underneath them. So wherever gravity would put them. Just remember how he's oriented. Gravity would kind of have them going almost near the middle of these because of how weirdly posed he is. Down under, down this way, and we frame out. And Mr. Gobbo has his wrinkly pants all rappling around him. Frame out. That's where he's going to be. So now we go ahead and we're going to put in a couple wrinkles at the on the foot. Now we're looking at a nice, almost totally top-down foot. We're going to start off with the foot with the wrinkles in, because we want the sharpening to be the more important part. So we're going to bring it kind of off from one side, over a little, and then over a bit more, and then we're going to come back this way, and a little bit like that. We're then going to go to add. We're going to kind of come around in between these wrinkly parts. Then we're going back to subtract, and we're only going to draw a couple in here, which basically means no more than about 2 or 3 wrinkles on the inside of the instep, and then only inward wrinkles on the back of the instep. Then going up to this foot, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to draw kind of across where the toes wrinkle, and then we're going to add in just the zigzag of a sharpening. We're going to bend it a little bit, and we're going to go for a couple in here, and just a little bit of sharpening on these. Oh, that one didn't do well. It's supposed to kind of flow here. And make sure to smooth off the edges on a couple of those. And then with the Z-sub only, we're going to draw in a couple of okay. And that's actually a pretty quick little thingy. I think the only thing we got left to do on him is his hands. So we're going to go ahead and make the spear invisible. What he is that was actually fired by a ballista. He just holds on for the ride so he can guide it on the way down. Ah! Yep, that's what happens. That's how they work that thing. That's what they do. It's kind of crazy, I know, but that's what they do. Let's zoom in on the hands, I say. It's a little bit smaller there. Yeah, you go. It's just a shame how some of the accents from various areas of the United States are going away. But it's a good thing others are, eh? Some of them you can't understand the word they're saying. But there's always places you can go to hear them. Like for the southern accent, go to Mississippi, Georgia. You know, for the New England accent, go up to, you know, New England and just find someplace out in the backwoods. That usually means nowadays going saying, "Hey, where's the backwoods? Are you crazy? It's back there. That's why it's the backwoods." Yeah, that's what's going on nowadays. But what's happening is people are watching movies and television more. We're not exposed to accents like this no more. We're exposed to accents like this, with as little actual accent as possible. So in other words, we are being conditioned to have an official speech. The same thing is happening in England with received pronunciation. However, it's not as successful there because received pronunciation is depicted as being snooty snotty. Whereas over here, the Midwestern accent is portrayed as being, oh, that's those wacky flyover states. The ultimate in generic. They're called flyover states because all you ever do is fly over them. Nobody ever stops there. Yes, that is part of today's little comedy routine. I don't know why I'm doing a comedy routine on a miniature sculpting show, but it's fun. Okay. And up here... No, these guys do not know the way. Yeah, I saw a fan art, I think it was yesterday, that combined the Knuckles meme with the crown for Bowsette and Boozette and all the other ets. So, yeah. Anyway. So I'm just kind of angry that the end of Super Mario's, whatever it is, Sunshine or whatever, totally destroyed my personal headcanon for the Mario franchise, which is that Mario and Princess Peach have been married since, like, Mario Bros. 2 or 3. And Bowser is an obsessed rapist that needs to get put down. That's my opinion. I never liked Bowser because Barker kept killing me in frickin' Super Mario Brothers. He deserves to get put down because he can't even play a game frickin' without cheating. Frickin' cheater. Bowser's a cheater. End of story. Headcanon. Nobody likes Bowser. Not even his kids. And when he comes and kidnaps Princess Peach, it's not to give her a chance to take a breather. It's because he's a freaking rapist that wants to... Yeah. And when Mario rescues her, it really is from a horrible fate. Anyway, frame out. And we has our guy. So, that actually didn't take too long. That took just 1 hour and 10 minutes to give a half-decent goblin on a funky weird spear slamming into the earth. So let's merge it all down. And we go to geometry and we're going to Dynamesh. We go from 3.534 million or 3.509 to 2.007. So now we go to Z plugin and pop it open on the left. And we go up to Decimation Master. And looky there. Let's make him 35k because he's just a basic Gobbo. It's not like he's a commander type. Yeah. Whee. Yeah, so see, either it's fired from a trebuchet or ballista rather, or they're under siege. They grab one of these big old hand-carved wooden spears and jump off. Ah, ha, ha. Ow. I fell and broke my everything. But I got him with the spear. And goes from 2.08 or 2.007 megapixels to 70,020 pixel not pixels, polys. So we're going to take this sucker and export him as Pokey Gobbo figure. Yay! Hold on just a second. I spent most of yesterday with a migraine, so just a little bit of uncomfortability there. With the size of that spear, the only things that are actually going off the edge of the base is the front edge of his shin and his right foot. All the rest of that weight is on the base. Yeah. Well, I'd be kind of cheating with printing it because I print with the resin, you know. So I would think, now hear me out, I would think that the best position to print him in would be something akin to that. Because what that will do, that will give the spear a lot more strength, because instead of being like this, the layers will be doing like this. You know, they'll be going across almost that long. It's a lot more surface area in contact than if it was only like that. It may not be as perfect, but if you want them that horizontal, well, I guess you could. I definitely also recommend tree supports for this sucker. And I need to stop hiccups. Yay! Why did I go there? That's not supposed to be there. Yeah. That's supposed to be there. Anyway. So yes. Now, I'm going to talk some more about Sculpt them or Mini Vember or whatever we're calling it. or whatever, you know. Basically, the idea is we're going to be throwing open this, not a challenge per se, but an inspiration every morning. A race, class, weapon, armor, and background combination. For example, yes, that is a hill dwarf wild mage with a warhammer and no armor and the hermit background. Then you have a dragonborn rogue swashbuckler with the sage background because he wanted to become a swashbuckler because he grew up in his parents' library. And then just think about how many different possible ways that could be interpreted. You know, how many different possible excuses could you have? Okay, so this guy's a high elf rogue with leather armor and a rapier. And the fence background. What would he be? How would you handle it? Would you just do a high elf in leather armor with a rapier going, eh? Or would you be like, oh, sticky, oh, I hope I don't hit. Oh, I hope I don't get hit. I don't want to get hit. Get away. You know, there's so many different ways to do it, especially if you try and push. Now, if you're a new sculptor, never sculpted before, or don't have much experience, that's the entire point of this. Sculpt every day. You may not have time to do the full figure, but at least be pushing polygons. At least be shaping them and getting them into position for what you need for this thing. So, the entire concept of sculpt of Mini-Vember, or whatever it ends up being, whatever month, wherever, is sculpt more minis. You don't have to finish the ones that you're not happy with. You can just put them aside. Instead of rebooting that character, do something totally different. Come up with something completely and utterly unusual. Strange, you might say. Yes, indeed. Anyway, so, any of y'all even vaguely interested in this idea of Mini-Vember? I don't know if they still do the free trial period now that they have ZBrush Core. So, well, Todd, like I said, you don't have to do the full challenge every day. Just do some kind of push in the polys. Like, throw it open and play around with a couple of the brushes just for about 10 minutes. Just long enough to see what your program of choice can do for sculpting. Take a peek and read through a tutorial. Just something so that you're learning a little bit every day. The more people that can sculpt their own minis, while that's technically taking business away from me, the more likely you are to have something that you want that is exactly how you see it, and not even filtered through my lens, filtered only through your own. And trust me, when the first time you sculpt a figure, that is exactly how you pictured it. First time that you get that character exactly right, the feeling is awesome. So, yeah. Go figure. Hashtag go figure. For Mini-Vember. And as you can see, I've got my little badger stripes going. Two little white stripes, a little bit of gray between. Scatter's always good. Scatter terrain, that's always a good thing to be playing around with, especially things like, there's one thing everyone needs and everyone uses, especially for wargaming, that you can never have too many of, and that's broken columns, whether they are, medieval ruins, or they are used to be traffic lights or telephone poles. Broken columns of any kind, something that your figures can duck behind to get partial cover. A few columns here, you duck behind it, you've got some partial cover for your unit. The scatter terrain's always good. So anyway, it's a little bit early tonight, because really and truly, when it's gotten to the point where I can just completely tear these guys out, because even those really intricate wrinkles on the pants and the shoes for that boot and for that goblin, that would have taken me twice as long back in May. Let me go ahead and show you the picture, the infamous picture. This is going to show you what has changed with me in the past 5 months. Bam! On the left is the first figure I sculpted on this channel. Took me a little over 2 hours. On the right is one of the figures I sculpted for Danny's Kickstarter. You can see the incredible difference. That was from sculpting 3 to 4 times a week for 5 months. Less than half a year. So if you guys actually keep on practicing and working at it, you never know where you can go. You never know. See, talent isn't. I'm a firm believer that talent is not some magical thing that lets you start ahead of everybody else. I'm one of those people that believes you still have to learn the basics. You still have to learn how to do things. And in my opinion, this is the midpoint. This is the breakover point. Better than this, and that's where you start getting to people with talent. Below this, like me most of the time, you're still learning. It's still got room. After, they say that you can't master someone without 7 years of work. What they don't tell you is that's 7 years of constant work. Every day. Exactly, TJ. That's exactly what I'm talking about. I started off, the geometry I'm using for my base male figure, I had originally actually created, what's that? Oh boy. Anyway, I had originally actually created for a video game. That's why the eyes are a separate piece that's set in behind the eye sockets. That's why there's a little chunk hidden inside the mouth of what used to be teeth. But I went back in and I reproportioned it and I reshaped parts of it and I smoothed it out because it used to be really low poly. And I made it into the base geometry I'm using for this. I sculpted on it in the raw shape before I rigged it to get the face looking the way I wanted it to. And now I have it as part of my here, have it if you're a top tier patron. I've been doing 3D graphics in general for 15 years. I could make the basic shape for almost anything simply because I've been doing it for so long and making so many different shapes, from animals to robots to rifles, swords, clothing, armor, spaceships, the whole 9 yards. I've done almost everything. So yeah. Anyway, it's a little early. It's 9:30. Still got a little bit of a headache from yesterday, so I'm probably going to go ahead and call it a night for tonight. But by the way, this looks cool. I can't wait to try it out. This is Vallejo Model Air, but it's black metal. Black metallic. That ought to be interesting. That ought to be fun. And thank you, Todd. So it's going to be the usual. I'm going to go ahead and refresh the page so that I can see this better. And then I'm going to stick my hand up here. And I'm going to start the countdown. So that's going to be a 5, a 4, not a fur, a 4, a 3, a 2, and a 1 with a wiggly finger. Wiggly finger, wiggly finger, wiggly finger.